Good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Materia Medica. We have finished few important remedies from the Allen's notes from second year syllabus of VHMS, and all remedies which are very useful in day-to-day practice. One more remedy from the Allen's notes, and which is again a very important remedy in our day-to-day practice, is the Natrum Muriaticum. In fact, it is a common salt from which it has been prepared, and the remedy which has the wonderful effects in chronic cases as well as acute cases. And that's why this remedy we have to learn by heart. It will take nearly about 3 days, 4 days might be, to learn every aspect of the Natrum Muriaticum. Because there are many cases to discuss and there are many things to discuss. Generally what happens, we used to learn only, we used to read only the Natrum Mur. No, you have to understand, perceive the Natrum Mur. And that's why I want to share Natrum Mur with first case and follow 2 cases in fact in my practice, and I will thereafter I will enter into the Allen's keynote. The first case was interesting. It was nearly about 8 years girl. She was brought to me with a very severe headache. It was there for 2 years. She was there with the pediatrician, then the neurologist, then the psychiatrist. Everywhere they went, and her headache was not getting settled. Whenever she used to take tablets for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, she used to stay better, and thereafter every time it was again and again recurring. It was semilateral, one-sided, either right or left, but generally it was specifically left-sided. And she used to say, it is so severe as if it will burst or someone is pressing inside. That was very typical headache. The 8 years school girl, what should be the weight? It should be around 25, 30. But her weight was only 14 kg. She was so weak, so weak. So I asked regarding it. Her mother told me, sir, we went to all doctors. Everyone said she is weak, that's why she is having headache. But she eats a lot. She used to consume a lot. we never eat that much she eats, but still she is not improving in her weight. That is one thing which was there characteristic with her, with so a small emaciated, elongated neck. And she said that she is having along with that a severe dandruff. When I looked towards her scalp, it was typical white, easily detachable dandruff which was there present, and her face was quite greasy. When I observed her hands, palms, this is my habit of checking the palms. I told you that earlier in my lectures, and it was warm and sweaty. Warm and sweaty is very important indication of generally thyrotoxicosis if it is hot and sweaty. But it was warm and sweaty. When I asked about the diet, she used to crave meat, she used to crave salt, and she was the child who was having a aloof child. She doesn't want to get mixed with the rest of the girls, rest of the friends. So I took the whole case clearly. Case itself was indicating that remedy is Natrum Mur. So I have utilized Natrum Mur in her case. I have started with the low in her case. Reason was that she was not in acute agony with which she came, but she had a recurrent attack. So I started Natrum Mur 30, 3 doses on day 1, 3 doses on second day, followed by just a Calcarea Phos 6X. Question is, why Calcarea Phos 6X? Calcarea Phos 6X is a biochemic remedy which is also having a similar schoolgirl's headache like Natrum Muriaticum. And many times when you give it along with your main remedy, it helps a lot. The constitution was looking calcarea first along with that. So I have started with this and I have followed her nearly about a year. And definitely within a span of 2-3 months, she started improving at all levels. Her headache, which used to happen off and on nearly about twice a week, now it has settled. It has settled up to once in fortnight, then thereafter once in month, and it has started reducing. The intensity also reduced. And most important change which has happened after giving the Natrum Mur was that her change in her constitution. She started gaining the weight, and within the span of 6 months, she gained nearly about 8 kgs. That was interesting. She recovered so nicely. Everything stopped. After 6 months, nearly her all problems stopped. I have raised the potency right from 30 to 200 after 2 months, then 1 m after a month, and thereafter she never required so much of medication. Calcarea phos I stopped with first 2 months, then thereafter I have not given the calcarea phos, and she was kept only on Natrum Mur and placebo, and wonderful recovery happened. So Natrum Mur is such type of remedy which is very useful in children's cases. It is a very, very essential remedy in children's, like abrotanum, like silica, like iodum, like sanicula. The emaciation is very marked in Natrum. And losing flesh while eating well, that is the word which one has to understand in Natrum. That is very difficult. It happens whenever the vessel metabolic rate is high. So that's why in Natrum Mur, in Borix Medica, the first paragraph, at the end of first paragraph, there is one word, thyrotoxicosis, and this is the remedy mentioned. So this is very typical with the Natrum Mur, a very deep acting remedy, and it recovers the patient from such types of condition. So that was first case which I want to share, and second case was 35 years lady. She was brought to me with involuntary urination while coughing, while laughing, while sneezing. Every time she used to get a typical involuntary urination. Her face was quite greasy, shiny. That was very important thing in her case. Second important thing was she was so depressed because of that. She never used to go to anywhere because it was a big problem. In fact, when she was sitting in front of me in the chair, she had involuntary urination and whole chair was spoiled. This happened. This was her basic problem, and because of which she was continuously inside the house since last 4-5 years, and nothing was working. Then they she was shown it to the urologist. She has shown it to the even mm, to the gynecologist. Gynecologist told that there is little bit prolapse. And she also told I have my internal organs. I feel they are coming out, and I have to keep the hands and press them over there. And then the urologist, they told that she is having cystosis, because of which such thing happens. They asked her to go for that operation, which is sting operation or something like that. They use the thread and pulls the bladder up. That is something surgery. But she was refusing because she doesn't have that confidence to go for surgery. And that's why she came to me. Second important thing, she was having lot of palpitation, and she explained it very nicely that, sir, I'm getting palpitation. I have a tremendous chest palpitation, but I felt whole pulsations everywhere. I can feel my pulse everywhere in the body, and I know I can measure that on my body. That was very typical with the Natrum Mur. Natrum Mur has that typical symptom. She was a good looking, but not so. Her weight was not too much, not too less. Averagely weight, averagely built lady, and she had this problem, because of which she broods a lot. What to do? I could not mix with the people. I could not go anywhere. I could not share anything with others. And that was making her sad. That sadness was there on her face because of this big problem. And this is social problem. Whenever such types of social problems are there, they always makes the people sad. Many times a deep depression can develop because of it. Natrum Mur is the remedy for such types of cases. I have utilized Natrum Mur in her case, LM1, continuously for nearly about a month. And within a month, her problem settled. She has recovered so nicely. She continued treatment nearly about 6 months and she was fantastic after using Natrum Mur LM6. And she said, Doctor, I have taken so much of medicines up till now, nothing what your remedy has worked. I have given that remedy to her in a liquid form. So Natrum Mur is a remedy which covers the whole aspects, and that is a remedy for adults, that is a remedy for children, that is a remedy for old age persons, that is a big remedy for the females specifically. A wonderful remedy to be understood. And that's why today we're going to share Allen's keynotes and Natrum Mur. Few aspects of Natrum Mur today we'll learn and then we'll continue with it. Natrum Mur common salt, NaCl. For the anemic and cachectic, very important word. Anemia, it is yesterday also we have discussed, day before yesterday, the pulsatilla, a good remedy for anemia when lot of iron tonics were used. Natrum Mur is one of the important remedy when Natrum Mur itself is lacking at the molecular level, used to produce the anemia, because there are three ingredients which are necessary to form the hemoglobin molecule. One is, this is what the Sussler theory, if you read the Sussler's book, he has very nicely elaborated. He explained whole story, how the hemoglobin molecule is formed, and he explains there are three ingredients which are needed: the parum phosphoricum, the calcarea phosphoricum, and Natrum Muriaticum. These three constitute the hemoglobin molecule. Anemia is the result of molecular, if there is a molecular loss or if molecular requirement is not fulfilled of Natrum Mur, anemia develops. So for anemic and cachectic, who used to catch very easily everything and they are very small, weak, emaciated, cachectic person, whether from loss of vital fluids, anemia might be because of loss of vital fluids, lots of bleeding, etc., specifically during profuse menses, because of seminal losses or mental affections. Three conditions because of which there is a anemia or cachexia. Cachexia means weakness, absolutely loss of flesh, and they are prone to infections, prone to disorders. So this is the first line of the Allen's keynotes, defines how the person, Natrum Mur person might be. So you can watch and immediately catch, yes, that this person is having the typical constitution, anemic, cachectic, because of loss of vital fluids, because of seminal losses, because of mental affections. So mental stress and strain is the cause of many physical disorders in the Natrum Mur. If you open the Borix Materia Medica in the mind, the first line itself defines the Natrum Mur. He says over there, psychic causes of all disorders. Mental affections are quite common with the Natrum Mur, and Natrum Mur is the person who considers that everything is blamed at him. He attracts the grief. That is the problem with the Natrum Mur. They finds it out the faults, and that's why they get grief. Great emaciation. Where is the emaciation? Great emaciation, losing flesh while living well. Eating well is the right word actually, living well. Because they have a good appetite. They eat a lot. The parents always tells us, Doctor, hi, एवढं खातो, where it goes, we don't know. He used to eat a lot, where it goes, we don't know. This is the sentence. Great emaciation, losing flesh while eating well, like abrotenum and iodum. Abrotanum, it reflects more in the lower extremity, emaciation of lower extremities. That is the characteristic of abrotanum. Iodum, it is because of thyrotoxicosis. Increased thyroid levels, that means increased metabolic rate, is responsible to produce a loss of flesh in iodum. That's why iodum persons, they are losing flesh while eating well. Their pulse is very fast. Natrum Mur also having the pulse fast. Both of them are hot remedies. Iodum is also hot. Natrum Mur is the hot. Iodum is hottest. Natrum Mur is hot. Both of them suffers from sun. So you have to understand, but reasoning more common in iodum is the losing flesh while eating well because of increased metabolic rate, because of increased thyroid levels, that is iodum. Throat and neck of the children emaciate rapidly during summer complaint. Emaciated neck, very typical feature. If you open complete repertory, neck chapter, emaciation, Natrum Mur is highly marked remedy. It is emaciated and elongated also. That is Natrum Mur. And these specifically in children, throat and neck emaciate rapidly during summer complaints. Summer, whenever summer comes, they get aggravated because Natrum Mur is the hot remedy aggravated during summer, like sanicula. It is one more remedy where the neck is emaciated, but it is more wrinkled in case of sanicula and iodum. It is more wrinkled. You can find it out that it looks as if dehydrated in natrum, in sanicula and even in abrotanum also. Great liability to take cold. Very easily catches the immediately. If you open the Borix Materia Medica, in Borix Materia Medica, there is a one feature written. It is a remedy for the coryza, which is watery type of coryza, dropping from the tip of the nose. Use 30th asalile. That has been written in Natrum Mur by Bori. And yes, it is in 30th, it works in specific cases if patient is Natrum Mur. So great liability to take cold like calcarea, like calicarbonicum, like um, tuberculinum. Irritability. How is the irritability of Natrum Mur? Child cross when spoken to. Whenever you try to talk to them, they becomes cross. Cross means they goes opposite. They don't want it. Like Sina, like Abrotanum. Abrotanum also they are very cross, irritable personality. Abrotanum are cruel, in fact, more cruel. That's why it is a syphilitic remedy. Abrotanum is syphilitic remedy. So child is cross when spoken to. When you try to spoke to them, they becomes cross. Crying from slightest cause. So slightest cause causes them to cry. Gets into passion about trifles. Passion म्हणजे तीव्र भावना. Tremendous, तीव्र, tremendous emotions. Gets into passion about the triples. So very minor elements causes them to go into the passion, especially when consoled with. So consolation is not liked by the Natrum Mur personality. They gets irritated. They gets aggravated. They start weeping more if you try to console them. This is not, they never likes to get consoled. And that is very typical with the Natrum Mur. So weeping tendency is there with Natrum Mur. Same is true with pulsatilla. But both of them have opposite modality. Pulsatilla craves sympathy. They like sympathy. Natrum Mur never. Natrum Mur gets aggravated. Whenever you go close to them, they never likes to be touched. They never likes to share their thoughts. They always remains in their own thoughts, brooding and weeping internally. Never wants to show the tears also. And they remains isolated. And whenever you try to console, their problems gets aggravated. Accord. Accord. It is very close to the apis mellifica in acquardness. Accord means they get accord whenever they are in company. Whenever people comes, they gets accord, and then the simple things falls from their hands like apis mellifica. Both are complementary to each other. Apis and natrum, both are complementary to each other, and both of them is having the similar type of symptom, the acquardness. Accord, hyste, drops things from the nervous weakness. So nervous weakness means nerve weakness. It is nerves which are sensitive. There are tremors, and because of which they drop the things. This is basically with the nervous irritation that happens to be there. So nervous system irritation causing a trembling, producing, dropping things from their hands is the typical of Natrum Muriaticum. Apis and Bovista, both the things, there is awkwardness. Apis is hot like Natrum, but Apis is thirstless remedy. Absolutely thirstless. Apis, the pains are stinging. That is more characteristic with apis. Apis, there is big edema, dropsy, which is there with the apis. So when you are thinking about the similar types of symptoms, the rest of the generalities differs, and with which you have to find it out a remedy. So apis is different. Marked disposition to weep. So weeping tendency, weeping on trifles, weeping when touch, weeping when you ask something. This is very important. But generally, this weeping never comes easily. But once it comes, it never stops easily. That is also a thing. It never comes up easily, but once the patient starts weeping, difficult to control, because whenever you can try to control, it gets aggravated more and more. So marked disposition to weep, the sad weeping mood. The sadness is more marked with the weeping. It is not the weeping like of a pulsatilla. Pulsatilla is weeping is different. Pulsatilla weeps on slightest element. Someone says, no, started weeping. Because they don't have their own say. They're indecisive. Pulsatilla. Here, natrum is not like that. Here, emotional trauma is so strong, they become sad and they have weepy mood. And generally, they goes to the bathroom and there they weeps. In isolation, they weeps. Weeping alone vein, that is the rubric. They like to weep alone. They don't want to show that in front of others. And that's why this is psychotic element. So Natrum Mur is the psychotubercular remedy. It is not purely psychotic. It is not purely tubercular. It is psychotubercular remedy. So psychotic elements are much more in Natrum Mur. This is one more. Sad weeping mood without cause. There is no cause behind it. There is sadness, weeping mood, but cause it is causeless, like pulsatilla. But it is cause is hidden. Cause is not there. It is not. It is the wrong thing. Generally, cause is long-lasting grief. Grief has happened 2 years back, but still it is there, present in their mind, and that comes out and starts. The sad mood is the result of it. Marked disposition to weep, but consolation from others aggravates her troubles. Never likes to be consoled. Never likes sympathy. Never likes people to come towards her. These are very typical things of the Natrum. So, Natrum, if you understand this aspect of Natrum, you will understand the better core of Natrum. This is big. This is very important. This you get up and on with the Natrum. So these things regarding the constitution, regarding the mind, one must know. And then the particulars. This first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs defines the natrum. How is the natrum with which the natrum approaches to you? And then the particulars. I think it is better to stop over here because headache is a big topic where we have to discuss a lot in tomorrow's session. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow, it might not be possible to take the lecture. If it is not possible, if it is possible, I will let you know. If there is no message, it means there is no lecture for the Materia Medica. Organ and lecture will be there, but not Materia Medica. We'll meet directly on Monday, otherwise. So that's all for today. Any queries are there? We can have a chat. Otherwise, we can finish. So thanks a lot. We'll meet again.
LM potency.
Yes, Vrinda.
Sir, did you choose the LM potency?
Why? What?
What was the, you did not take Natrum Mur 30 or 200, you chose LM potency for your case.
Yes, second
So,
case I have choose the LM because I I expected repetition, and in LM centesimal scale we cannot repeat so much. So better potency to be repeated whenever needed is always a LM. And if you go on repeating a constitutional remedy, it works better in such pathological. She was having the cystocele, she was having little bit prolapse. So it requires a continuous repetition to get stimulated. LM is better potency to be stimulated, and that's why I have choose the LM. If I would have given the 30, I could not repeat it so fast. I have to wait for a month, then I have to look for the things. When you are giving the LM, it is always better. You can give it for months together. It never causes any harm. That's why I
okay,
have
sir.
choose
Thank
the
you.
natural LM. So
Thank you,
that,
sir.
okay, thank you. That's all for today. Thanks a lot. We'll meet with the organ and definitely tomorrow. Mathematics, I will let you know. Thanks a lot.